The African gets kicked out of the apartment because of his skin color. So, he decided to walk to the telebooth to call his family and inform them of what happened. He saw a newspaper on the ground. He decided to read the newspaper. He notices an ad and sees a place where race didn't matter. He quickly decides to call the number.
Hello? Is this the landlady of the apartment? Krista?
Yes, hello. May I help you?
Well, I'm looking for a place to stay and I really don't want a wasted journey.
Well, of course you can stay here, darling. Our location is indifferent.
Really?
Yes, I swear. I love our premises and our prices are very reasonable.
Hello? Hello? Are you still there? What am I supposed to do now? Hello? Are you still there?
Sure.
Okay. Is tomorrow okay?
Yeah.
Okay, bye. Good morning, madam. What?
Listen here. Clearly you got the wrong place.
What? That's it.
What? That said what?
Said race didn't matter in this place.
You know what? This is assault. Get out now before I call the police.
Okay. You didn't have to tell him. I was leaving anyways. Different, eh? This place is no different from the rest of them.
Now let's talk about the situation in the poem. The landlady doesn't seem to understand what the African is saying. The African is explaining and reasoning with the landlady that he isn't entirely dark. Now let's explain the three scenarios we had in the presentation a while ago.
Because of racism, the African was kicked out of their first apartment. And because of the inequality at the time, the African couldn't do anything. As the African walks out of the apartment, they are sad. Sad because they have no place to live or get money from, which is also because of racism. At the time, blacks were not given the same opportunities as the whites, and they were looked down upon. The African walks to the telebooth to inform their family again that they will have nothing to eat. As the African looks down, they see a newspaper with an ad. As they skim through the text in the newspaper, they notice that the place was indifferent and yet had a reasonable price. The African hangs up on the phone and dials the number on the ad. The African was happy that they finally find a place that they could stay in. In the second scenario, the landlady says no and just hangs up on the African. This shows that the landlady is racist because she did not bother to listen to the African and just decided to turn them down because of their skin color. And since the landlady turned the African down, the African is frustrated and disappointed because they cannot find a place to rent just because of their skin color. In the third scenario, the landlady then says yes to the African staying there. But once the African arrives and the landlady sees her skin color, she starts to discriminate against them and kicks them out. The African's journey is then wasted. The African is disappointed that the landlady did not live up to her expectations from the ad, but she is also too scared to fight back that she just leaves empty-handed.
The poem demonstrates how racism persists in people's mind and hearts. Even if that nation has anti-discrimination laws, if people do not alter their attitudes, the law loses their effectiveness. The landlady uses unfair criteria. She publicly demonstrates her lack of racism, but when alone, her true nature is revealed. The landlady's response to hearing the confession is described in these words from the poetry Telephone Conversation. She stops speaking when she realizes the speaker is a black man. She is coy about how much she despises and approves of black people. The poet claims that the women resemble so-called well-bred white people folks. These folks consider themselves to be respectable since they are educated. Although they do not publicly criticize black people, they nonetheless carry racial prejudice towards them. The poem also effectively conveys the black man's annoyance. He is irritated by the hypocrisy of people like the landlady. First, he is angry over the lady's question about his shade of color. But at the end of the telephone conversation, he is pleadingly with the landlady to consider him.
From what I see, the landlady gave the African tenant a condescending or racist attitude as she was seemingly bothered by the color of the tenant's skin, which is why she asked the tenant multiple questions about his or her skin color. This is confirmed by the last part of the poem, where the landlady hung up the phone once she fully understood that the tenant's skin was dark. The African tenant showed a persistent attitude as he or she answered all the questions of the landlady, regardless of the amount she had about his or her skin color.